Hey everyone, Tyler here with Gilded Reviews. Today we are doing an in-depth look at South Park: The Fractured But Whole, the new tactics-style RPG from Ubisoft. Trey Parker and Matt Stone have collaborated with Ubisoft to bring us another entertaining South Park adventure. I love this duo's brand of comedy and have enjoyed it since Cannibal the Musical, but I am not here to grade South Park's trademark witticism. I will discuss it briefly towards the end, but I came here to play a game, so the gameplay is mostly what we will be talking about. Just know that if you do not find South Park's crude humor funny, then you probably will not find much enjoyment in this title. The other thing I wanted to bring up really quick is that this is mostly a PC focused review, so I do have to talk about Uplay and some of the other issues that we are getting with this version. Let's go ahead and get into some of the problems surrounding the game's release rather than the gameplay itself. First off, there is Day 1 DLC. This is something I really hate. Games are a business and I understand that, but blocking content that is clearly made with the game behind a paywall is just plain stupid. This unfortunately is the way the industry is going, and with the rising cost in AAA development, I don't foresee it changing anytime soon. Secondly, they are selling cosmetic gear. Not a huge issue for me. I don't really care. If somebody wants to buy the gear to look cool early game, go ahead. Lastly, Uplay. This is a huge con to most PC gamers, and I completely understand that. You have to run it even if you purchase the game through Steam. This is a problem. It takes up space, resources, and adds something else to boot up before getting into the game. Any PC veteran will tell you it gets old loading up different programs that have different logins just to play a single game. However, the new Uplay client is light years beyond Origin, so there is that. It also does offer the ability to play games while they are still downloading. Overall, it's really not that bad, but the fact that it is there is a bummer.
Yeah, fuck you, expectations.
Now on to the actual game. Starting with the art, music, and voice acting. Everything here is AAA quality and it really immerses you in that South Park universe. The animations are smooth and look great because of the added particle effects during combat. The sound is fantastic as well. Everything from the music to the farting effects seems to come straight from the show, which is nice. You can't make it on air for 20 years without some variety. The voice acting is no different, with the voice actors including Matt Stone and Trey Parker being part of the cast. Really, there just isn't a lot to discuss here. It looks, sounds, and acts exactly like the show, which, as we found out from the Stick of Truth, works phenomenally well within the game universe. On a side note here, this is something I think other great TV franchises should capitalize on. The Simpsons used to, and they made one of the best arcade NES games ever. All I'm saying is, wouldn't it be nice to get an Archer game done in the vein of Metal Gear Solid from 1998? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but comedy seems to work really well within the extremely tense situations that games can offer. Having Archer and Lana banter it out while I steal something from a safe sounds like a lot of fun. It would just have to be made by a good company that understands how stealth games work. Let's go ahead and get back into the game. The overall gameplay mechanics are something I really want to get into. We are going to start with the cons, and honestly, I'm going to complain a lot here. I want you guys to know that what I have to say does not make this a bad game, and many people may disagree with me, but this is my take on some of the mechanics within The Fractured But Whole. I will do my best to explain myself here, but I believe many of the puzzle, combat, and RPG mechanics lack real depth. Let's start by talking about the puzzles. The majority of the puzzles in this game are not so much puzzles as they are areas locked behind a progression wall. What I mean by that is they are just obstacles that are easy to overcome once you have the required skill given to you by the game's main story. Even during missions, which is a perfect place to put a challenging, thought-provoking puzzle, they just have you highlight something, call up a friend, move your analog sticks, and poof, puzzle solved. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think puzzles should be challenging, make you look at the entire picture and really think about what you're supposed to do next. They shouldn't be this simple. In the entirety of the game, I think one puzzle took me more than 3 minutes to get through, and that was including the 30 to 45 second animation the game does every time you use a skill. The length of the animations are another small issue of mine. I thought they were hilarious the first 2 to 3 times I saw them, but when I just want to get through an area and fight the boss, and I have to sit through butter shoving a hamster up my butt 7 times, it gets old. This isn't the only problem with redundancy I have. At first, the combat was amazing. It felt unique, smooth, and it seemed to have a level of strategy that I didn't expect in this title. Unfortunately, as the game progresses, you start to notice its lack of depth. They seem to try and make it more complex by having attacks only hit a specific square or giving knockbacks additional damage if the enemy flies into someone or something. They also give you some status effects to play with, but honestly, it still feels like brute force wins over tactical crowd control gameplay. This isn't really an issue, and I wouldn't count the combat down on rankings or anything like that. I just think that there could have been a lot more here. It is almost like a missed opportunity on the developers' part. They could have easily have had enemies with resistances and weaknesses, or made the combat map a little bigger, allowing for a wider variety of strategy. Or they could give us access to more skill sets, like an alt key for 3 more skills. This would have not only gave us more options for combat, but also prolonged the length of the game. Honestly though, the biggest missed opportunity here is synergized attacks. This is a staple for the genre. South Park has this, kinda, but it could have been taken to an entirely different level. In the Fractured But Whole, you are able to knock people back, charm them, or stun them, but it's all very basic. Giving players the ability to combine earth and fire attacks or bleed with knockback depending on who is standing in the square next to you would have been a lot of fun. This is something tactics games have done for years, and it seems to add a significant amount of strategy to the combat. Lastly, let's talk briefly about the RPG mechanics. Basically, they're there and that's about it. Again, this is my opinion, but I think there's an illusion of depth. As you level up, you unlock sockets, and these sockets allow you to increase your character's might by inserting artifacts. This system just seems rushed. At a higher difficulty setting, I could see these making more of a difference, but on normal, you just need to equip the highest level ones and you're good to go. The only artifact that really makes a significant difference is the DNA strand, which increases the power of your skills significantly based on what type of skills you use. Again, I just think this is another missed opportunity. They could have easily have made the choice on which item to pick more significant, or they could have given them synergies if they fell within the same group. There are so many countless things they could have done here to add more depth to this system. Now that many of my cons are out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things this title does right. There are a lot of skills to choose from, and the progression here feels fantastic. As you move through the story, it is easy to see how powerful your character is compared to the rest of the town. You get access to some cool things later on in the game, and that feeling of progression really makes up for the game's cons. Some of the other really awesome highlighting features are the character interactions, where they're talking to each other in combat. They say some hilarious things. The overall freedom that this game offers is quite surprising. You are able to kind of go anywhere, and towards the end you can actually even manipulate things more than you would expect, so you have more access to different areas and different times of the day. And really the highlighting feature of this game, which I'm sure everybody knows, is the comic relief. The South Park in the South Park game. All of that stuff is fantastic, really well written, really well done. If you enjoy South Park, you know exactly what to expect. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the game overall, who this game is for, and where I'm going to score it. This game is a lot of fun. The comic relief brought to you by Matt Stone and Trey Parker delivers some unforgettable laughs, and the story is engaging. I do think that for a $60 price tag, the game is too short. You can complete almost everything in under 15 hours, and with a tactics RPG game, you usually get a lot more than that. I won't give any spoilers here, but the last act was a bit rough for me. It seemed to really drag on, and in a bad way. I could be very wrong here, but it's almost like the developers noticed the game was short and added obstacles towards the end to increase playtime. For instance, they get rid of fast travel and force you to run around town to different locations. This is just one small example, but the last act just kind of felt like a letdown. This was curbed by the comic relief, of course. I can't get over just how funny some of the situations in this game are. I don't watch South Park anymore. In fact, it has been many years, and there were a lot of parts in this game I didn't find humorous, but the ones that are very funny. And really, that is what this game is all about. What they have here is a decent game with okay mechanics and a fantastic comic relief staff. If you are at all a fan of South Park, then you will enjoy this title. However, if you do not enjoy South Park and are looking for a new AAA RPG, then you might want to look elsewhere. As a hardcore RPG fan myself, I felt underwhelmed by the entire system and really wish there was more. Overall, the pros of South Park: The Fractured But Whole are the story, the freedom of exploration, the art, music, and voice acting, the comic relief, the cutscenes, and the combat. And on the con side of things, you have a pretty short title for a $60 starting tag, an underdeveloped RPG mechanics system, simple puzzles, long and repetitive animations, and personally I feel there were a ton of missed opportunities. Overall, I give South Park: The Fractured But Whole a 6.8 out of 10. This is a decent game that I would pick up on sale. It has great content, but not enough to warrant the cost. If you are a big fan of South Park, then this title is perfect for you, and you should get it anyways. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I do want to say that my opinion here may have been impacted by Divinity Original Sin 2. The mechanics in that game just spoiled RPG fans, and I think we might be expecting too much now. Anyways, we are a new channel trying to get some gaming videos and reviews out there. If you guys liked what you saw, give us a thumbs up or click on our icon to subscribe. We release new videos every few days.